Hey guys, today we're looking at this kitty cat again, and we are going to put some pencil on top of the marker, especially on these books here. So what I'm going to do is I want to add the lighting effect from the candles onto the books. I tried this out in the previous video just on a scrap paper where I tried coloring with Prismacolors on top of the markers because they're pretty opaque, and it worked fairly well. So I know that what I want to do is use white as kind of a base layer, and then probably maybe canary yellow and then Spanish orange. I'll pull both of those out. So as I said in the last video, one of the first things I like doing when I'm about to shade is consider the lighting effects and where the lighting is going to fall. So I'm going to add the lighting before I add more of the darker shadows on here. So let's start with the purple one, I guess, and we're just going to say this is kind of a bigger area, so we'll get some light from the candle there. And I'm using the white pencil just to kind of lighten it up and make it so that it will take the yellow a little easier. Ooh, broken white pencil. Didn't I have this issue in another video too? Okay. Okay, fade it up. All right. And then let's start with the lightest one. Kind of in the middle here. And then this is the Spanish orange, so I'm just kind of creating a little circle, really, where the lightest color is in the center. And this is just to give the effect of the candle glow. And then we can do the same thing. This is very rough. That's not finished, but that's where we're going to leave it for just now. We'll do the same thing down on the red book. And with the canary yellow and those spots that are going to be the brightest, so here, maybe back here. There will be a shadow from this book cast by this candle, so there will be kind of a mix of light and dark here, so more of a mid-tone really. So I'm not going to put my brightest color there, but we'll put the Spanish orange there. Spanish orange. Maybe just a little bit over here. We can also put just a little bit on this little leather strap here, maybe a tiny bit here. I do want a little bit of an orange color over here. Lighten this area a bit. Some down here as well. All right, that one's a bit bright. I don't really need it to be that bright, but I can tone it down with some shadow. Oh, let's do some here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is put in the shadow. So I'm going to look for a dark purple for the purple book. Let's figure out what we want for those. So I'm going to pull out Black Grape just because that's my favorite kind of neutral dark purple, as you can see. And let's pull out more of a reddish one, like Black Cherry. And then maybe, I think Dahlia Purple is a bit too bright, so let's do dark purple. Try those three. I'm gonna go in with my darkest one and add in these shadows just underneath the cat, where it's gonna be the darkest. And then fade them out. Underneath the candle here also. I'm not wearing my glasses and this is getting a little fiddly, so I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my glasses and I've got my coffee. Okay, so back in with the Black Grape. Just kind of in these real fiddly small bits. Back where the light's not hitting. So I'm just doing the sides of these now. The light is hitting them a little bit, so I'm just going over it lightly. But the light's not hitting those sides of the cover as much as it's hitting the top. So I'm just darkening it a little bit with this Black Grape. And go back under the cat here. I'm gonna do a bit under the jewels, but it probably doesn't need to be quite as dark there. Darken from the bottom. And I'm gonna go on this side. Oh, so I'm thinking about this candle here. And I'm creating a shadow on this side of kind of what's gonna be this, I don't know, maybe gilded metal outside of the latch, or maybe just like another, like a raised puffy leather type thing. I don't know. But it's gonna be raised or 3D somehow. So I'm going on this side of it and creating its shadow. And this is also raised off the leather, so we're gonna create a shadow for it as well. Does that make sense? See how those things kind of look like they're forward now? Okay, I can do a bit of it on this side as well because of this candle casting the light this way. So I don't want the light to look even, like it's evenly hitting. So I make a bigger shadow on one side and a smaller shadow on the other. So this one will be a little thinner and not as dark. There. And then we can kind of put our fold back in. Okay. And maybe just a bit back there. Okay. Let's warm it up a little bit with the that's dark purple. Let's do a black cherry. I'm basically just going to go over the black grape because I'm not really sure what this is going to do, so I'm just kind of testing it out as I go. Yeah, it's warming it up. I'm going to be able to drag this into the Spanish orange a little bit more, and this is going to help that fade and look a bit more natural, that lighting there. This is just super lightly, really, really light. And then if there's too much orange somewhere, I think I'm going to be able to cover it pretty well with this and not have it look out of place. I can also use this to go over kind of some of those streakier areas. And you can see those streaks look less like marker and more like a texture on the book. And that's just because we're toning them down by going over it with a pencil. I'm going to tone this orange down a lot down here because that was more than I wanted. So go down here now. And I kind of start from the edges and go inward so that I can fade out. I don't want to start right here where it's the lightest, otherwise I'll get a harsh line. So I start back here where it's dark and kind of lightly bring my way toward that light area. Just cover it a little bit. No harsh lines, except for maybe right under the pages. These pages are going to cast a shadow, so we'll add a little line under those pages. And along here too. And it looks like those pages are really sitting in the book. And again, starting in the darker areas, bringing it out lightly toward that lighter area to tone this orange down, not starting here in the middle and trying to cover the whole thing. Still want to keep that gradient effect. Okay, cool. Let's work over up here. It's my lovely fridge, come on, that likes to make all the noise in the world. I also have a heater on because it's cold now. It's like, I don't know, I think it's supposed to, maybe it's a little warmer today. Yesterday it was like 40 degrees outside the whole day. I've got a floor heater on. It's just one of those electric heaters stuck to the wall on the floor, so it makes popping noises sometimes. I'm sure the house is going to catch on fire. That'd be great. So I've just got, and then the coffee pot just finished, so it's clicking to keep the coffee warm. So all kinds of noises today. Okay. All right, let's tone this down a bit. shadow under this kitty's paw. I'm not sure we really need the dark purple. I might actually just want some black to get in the really dark corners. But not yet. I like to save my black for the end because I don't want to overdo it. Just giving it a look for right now. I think I toned this down maybe just a little too much right here, so I'm pushing fairly hard with this now since there's a lot of layers on it. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Fine for now. Let's do the red book. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and do just a little bit of the black so you can see what that looks like once it's in there. Just in the darkest spots, so right under this candle here. On this side of this cover down here. It's gonna fade out a bit. Down here. Not all the way across, maybe right there at that corner. Here maybe. Not really up back there. Maybe right under kitty cat. Just in the little darkest corners. And I think that's it for now. That's really all the black that I want to add right now. I don't want to overdo it. But you can see how that helps some things just pop a little bit. Okay, the red book cover. Let's make this more of a brownish red. I'm thinking kind of along the lines of maybe like a leathery red, so maybe a Tuscan red, some of these colors in here. And then a brown. Like maybe a chestnut. Tuscan red, and let's pull out the mahogany red. Let's pull out maybe the henna to use to blend into the Spanish orange. And then I'll probably want like a dark brown, or maybe black raspberry. I'll do black raspberry. So my kind of leathery reds. I'm not going to start with the black raspberry because it's so dark, but let's start with Tuscan red. Now this book is going to cast a shadow on top of this book, so we'll just go in with that. Ooh, this is pretty dark. That's all right. You just have to be light-handed with it. Okay. Across here, just a little shadow. Underneath that clasp. Okay. Go back here. Now this side of the book down here is right at the bottom. It's on the ground, I say in air quotes. So it's gonna be pretty dark. It's not a whole lot of light hitting it. Oops, out of the lines a bit, that's okay. I'm keeping it sort of a gradient there. I don't just want it all one solid color. It's under the candle, so the light's not hitting it at all. go ahead and darken these little areas here. And then down here as well, and we'll just kind of fade this up. We'll add that shadow to the side with this one. Ooh, I want it to be, need a finer plate. Giving it that 3D effect by giving it the shadow there underneath here, just like we did on the purple one. So a bit of a thin shadow on this side as well, because we've got the 2 candles going, 2 light sources, not 1. Okay. And, oh, look, well, this I forgot to do with the marker. It's okay, just put it in with the pencil now. Too. This is the cover of the book here. Silly me. Oh, it's really dark. Okay. Since that's so dark, this is gonna need to be even darker, so we'll just go in and darken it some more. It's not a gradient anymore, but it's okay. We can recreate the gradient with our even darker pencils. Oh, I also have a squeaky chair, so even more noises. Oh my goodness. Okay, under the candle. Some little shadows here. And just a little bit back here, or else it's just gonna look too red. I'm just going really lightly in circles so it's easy to fade it out and lift the pencil off the page without leaving harsh lines. Okay, I think for now that's all I want to use of the Tuscan red. What else did I pick? Whoops. Mahogany red and henna. Oh, let's use the mahogany red up here on this area, since it's not quite as dark as the Tuscan red. But we'll still get more of a leathery color. Now I am trying to cover up pretty much all of the red marker, but the reason that having the red marker down to begin with is helpful is because this way I don't have to use pencil until the white of the page doesn't show through. If there's any little spots, I can be just a little bit more lazy with it. Not quite as precise. because there's no white of the page that I need to cover up. That's already taken care of for me. So yeah, there's still a lot of work and layering that goes on top. You can just be slightly quicker about it. Okay, let's some more orange here. There we go, kind of like that. I kind of like it. Okay. I don't know if I really even want the henna. Do I? No. I don't know. Let me try it in a little spot over here. Making it a little bit more brownish, which might be good. I don't know. It's not hurting anything. Don't know if it's really adding anything. I take it or leave it. Okay, let's put in our darker shadows. So right here under this book, this is the black raspberry. Okay, this is where we're going to add that gradient back in with the black raspberry here. So it's darker on the sides and kind of lighter in the middle. Put in this shadow under the pages. I'm also just going to throw a little orange in here since it's a bit lighter. There we go. This part looks really blah to me. It just looks like, I don't know, there's nothing happening there. So I actually think maybe this middle part will be darker and maybe it'll be lighter up here. I'm going to darken this area. This is with the henna. And then kind of fade that up that way. So this has a lot of thick pencil on it now, and this is a bit thinner, I think. Let's put a little bit of white on that spot so we can add the orange in a little better. Yellow. And the orange. I've gotten a lot of layers on here now, so it's a bit harder to add these things, but it's working okay. Just bring the orange down a bit. Okay, that's fine. Let's put some black onto the red book for those dark shadows. Just a little bit, like we did last time on the purple book. You have not been able to see this red book, have you? That's just fantastic. That's what it looks like. Okay, so next, let's color. It's do the candles themselves. Let's do French gray 50%. Instead of canary yellow for the lighting, since that's such a vibrant one, we'll use the deco yellow because that will be better on the white candles. And we'll just start with these two, the deco yellow and French gray 50%. So first, actually, let's put in the yellow. Okay, so this candle is lighting, the flame is lighting the candle here. And then we'll go in and shade each of these little waxy drips. So start with a darker one down here underneath. And remember that this candle's light is coming this direction. I mean, it's going in all directions really, but from here, this candle's light's going this direction. And so our shading is going to be on the left side because we're not really shading from this candle. This candle's light is coming straight down. This candle's light's coming at the angle. So we want to really take into account this angle and shade this candle, at least this half of the candle, as the light's coming from this one. This half the candle will be a little different because it's going around and this light's not necessarily hitting this side. But on this right side of this candle, we want to take this candle into account. But that really just depends on how detailed do you want to get, how much do you want to be thinking about the lighting. You don't have to think about the lighting that detailed. That's just, I like to try to take those things into account, but I'm not perfect at it, and so there's things better artists than me will also be taking into account that I'm just not even, I don't even know to factor in. So there's no reason to try to factor in anything you're not sure about. Just color. Okay, I also pulled out 70% French gray. I'm going to start using that in some of these little spots where the light's not hitting quite as much. This is the 50% again. just really lightly up here, because I want these to have a little bit of form, but there's not really going to be any heavy shadows here where this rim of light is. Darker one there, 70%. I'm just going with a darker one in some little spots. I'm going to take some black and just some of these really dark ones down here. This might be too dark. I think that's fine. And where's my deco yellow? Now because this light is coming from this candle, I'm going to go ahead and yellow up some of those better lit spots. That's a bit of candle there too. Let's see. Let's just make it dark since it's already so covered in purple. Okay, it's fine. Do a little black. Let's put some dark actually right in some of these hidden spots here. Just make it really contrasted. So that's a 70% that I'm using just to add a little bit of more contrast with. let's move on now to, I guess, the crystals. Those are fun. I'm going to keep the Deco Yellow. Let's grab a Cobalt Turquoise and a Grass Green. Maybe Peacock Green. No, Cobalt Turquoise. Grass Green and Spring Green. So these are kind of very different greens. I'm going for a blue green, a really bright green, and then just a generic kind of green. And I'm going to use these as well as the Deco Yellow and probably, maybe not white, because I can go over it with a gel pen. So I'm going to use kind of these colors on our crystals. And the way that I color crystals is not super methodical. Just kind of think about which facets are hitting the light and which facets aren't. But then you have to kind of think about a little bit how the light passes through the crystal since they're translucent. So for example, this facet here is facing this light pretty good, so it's going to be a light facet, but the light's traveling this way through the crystal. So even though this one would be in shadow, it's also going to be a bit lighter because the light traveling through. It's going in this direction. So this one will be a bit lighter and this one will be a bit lighter. And the rest I kind of just make up. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my Deco Yellow on these so I know they're going to be lighter. I'll take my Spring Green maybe. Put that here. Maybe this one can be a little darker than the others. I'll put some Spring Green on it. And then Cobalt Turquoise, let's put that one actually right in the middle. That'll be our darkest one. And then let's, oop, that wasn't Cobalt Turquoise, that was Grass Green. That's okay. Let's put some Cobalt Turquoise on there. And then Grass Green down here on the bottom one. With a little bit of Spring Green. And this part's just the fun part. You kind of get to make up whatever you want to do on a crystal, as long as you have really light facets, really dark facets, and some medium facets, and they're all kind of touching each other. So let's do this one. And Grass Green this way this time. Let's put in a little Spring Green on this lighter one. And maybe just a little bit of Grass Green down here. Cobalt Turquoise. And let's get one more. Let's do let's get a darker one. Let's do like a purple. Since there's a lot of purple in our background, there will be a lot of bouncing purple light. So let's do, I don't even know how to say this one, Dioxazine Purple Hue. And we'll just put this in kind of the darkest spots here. And then we'll blend that with some Spring Green again. That's kind of fun. Okay. turquoise down here in this corner, the grass green, and then the spring green, and the purple down there as well. And let's do the opposite on this side. Sometimes the opposite looks good. So we'll do the cobalt up here. That's not the cobalt. Oops, that's the grass green. So cobalt, then the grass green, to the spring green. Let's bring the grass green down just a little bit more. And the purple. And let's just, because I don't want that to look like one stripe there, I'm just going to take the cobalt and add a little bit that direction. Okay, and then let's do this one as the light one. And go. And again, this is kind of just willy-nilly, just picking colors and placing them as I please. Kind of one of the cool things about gems is their light is so complicated that no one's really going to be able to look at it and tell you, oh, you did that wrong. I mean, somebody might, but no one who studies gems is perusing the coloring community saying, hey, your physics and lighting isn't correct. Let's actually make that one light. I kind of like that. Let's do one more down here, and then we'll put the gel pen on it, or the Posca. think the important thing is just that you get somewhat of a gradient on each of the facets. And the gradient can really be up to you how dramatic you want to make it. Like some of these gradients, this is only a yellow to a spring green, whereas some of these others go from the yellow to the purple, and some of them go from the spring green to the purple. So it's really just, as long as there's a gradient, it's up to you how you want to color these. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one for later, and I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and grab the Posca and start doing some highlights on some things. And then we'll probably leave it there for this video. Okay, I'm actually not ready to do some of the highlights on this one yet just because I haven't colored the cat, but I'll go ahead and do them down here and on the candle. I'm just going to go ahead and white out most of these lines here. And I don't white them out completely. I tend to kind of flick the Posca or the gel pen on these gems so that it kind of fades from really bright white to the black line. Some like this I want to completely white out, but others not necessarily. the crystals. And one thing I like about the Poscas that I probably have mentioned before is they're a little translucent because they're basically a diluted acrylic paint. So gel pen can be really opaque because of the gel ink. But with the Posca, it can be translucent when you put it down. So it can take a couple passes if you want something really opaque, but otherwise I like it because you can still kind of see the coloring book line through it. It's just lightened some, which is a cool effect, I think, in a lot of cases. Posca is also easier to color over with a color pencil. So if you want to change the color of the line that you're creating, that's really easy as well. So if I wanted to go over these white lines with the same deco yellow, I could do that. This pen's drying up on me a bit. I also like to tap it to tone it down sometimes if it's too opaque. And there we go. That is probably where I will leave that for today. So we'll continue doing more work on this one, and I'll finish up school in the next couple weeks, at least for this term, and then hopefully we'll be able to get a couple more videos out as well. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to see more like this in the future.